Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, sisters. You're watching Women's AM. I'm Hassana, and joining us on the panel today we have Sister Zainab, Sister Ayan, and our special guest today is Sister Ibtihal. Up next is our segment, Inspirational Muslims. In this segment, the sisters take a look at the life of an inspirational person and discuss what lessons we can draw. So today, who are we looking at, Sister Ayan?
We're looking at Ibn Jarir at-Tabari.
MashaAllah.
So, mashallah, he is like one of the greatest, most renowned and prominent, influential early Persian Muslim scholars of the 3rd Hijri century. He was a historian and exegete of the Quran from Tabaristan. He was also well known for his deep knowledge. He was an outstanding jurist, the Imam of Quran interpreters and historian who wrote one of the most famous books in Islamic history that was ever written. So, mashallah, very, very knowledgeable man. He came from a well-off family. He memorized the Quran when he was 7, and he started to memorize and write hadith when he was 9. He left his town at just the age of 12 to further seek knowledge because, you know, he believed that he'd exhausted all the resources in where he was. So, mashallah, at the age of 12, he just up and left. He traveled to Ray, which is modern-day Iran, and visited some of its cities where he met scholars and acquired religious knowledge from Ahmad ibn Hamad al-Dulabi and Ibn Humayd al-Razi, who were great hadith scholars as well. Then he went to Kufa, which was a major city of learning along with Medina at the time, and noticing his early genius, mashallah, and his desire to seek knowledge, Al-Hamdani paid extra attention to him and made him one of his close students. So, from Al-Hamdani, he learnt more than 100,000 hadith. So, mashallah, he was someone who didn't stop, who kept going whenever he felt that he basically gained the maximum of knowledge from one place. He would move on to the next that was known for being a place of knowledge. So, mashallah, he was amazing.
MashaAllah. Just going back to a couple of points that you were saying. First of all, his education started with his father. His father taught him. And, all of these stories, it's important to pull out things that we can relate to. So first of all, his father took charge of, educating his son about creating a path for his son. I want him to be useful to the ummah. I want him to work for the sake of Allah and sake of Islam. So that's what he encouraged him in, and at a very, very young age, to be able to do all these things by the age of 12. He was also from a very well-off family. How did he use his wealth? Sometimes people get into the deen because they don't have any money. That's kind of, the imams seem to come from more poorer backgrounds. That's what we tend to see back home. Things that, it's a bit more, there's a bit of a generalisation, but it tends to be the case. But you can see that there's so many scholars that we've come across now that they come from all backgrounds, wealthy and not. They, subhanAllah, they didn't let it distract them in terms of their wealth, but they also didn't focus on, no matter how much money you have, insan always wants more. So it's not that, that we just kind of throw our hands up and go, okay, I'm comfortable. That concept doesn't really seem to exist. But subhanAllah, there's so many other things.
I think, just touching on what you were just saying there as well, I mean, at Tabari, he was an incredible person, and you mentioned that he's from a wealthy background, but what I find fascinating about his story, actually, is that all of his studies were self-funded. He actually worked while he was studying in order to carry on travelling and pursuing his Islamic education. And, I think for a lot of us, we often kind of tend to rely on other people. Okay, I'll just ask my parents for money to study a little bit further, whatever else it is, or I'm not even going to study at all because I can't afford it. But I think he shows, he shows us, and it's a lesson to us, that actually, once you kind of start on that journey and you step out onto that path, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up a way for you. And at every stage, he was utilising his wealth in the right way, and he was very self-sufficient. And I think that's a lesson for a lot of us, that kind of idea of self-sufficiency, which is something that the Sahaba used to kind of have that quality as well. So it's definitely an interesting lesson that I kind of took away from his life. SubhanAllah, so much to take away, isn't there, Sister?
I'm jealous of this great scholar, because one of the things that when you die, all your deeds are shut off, apart from 3 things, and one of them is the knowledge you leave behind and the people that benefit from it. I benefited from it, subhanallah, as we all have, and also we're talking about him so well, so he still gets the reward of this dunya. I'm really, really jealous. Subhanallah, it made me actually think of my children. You know, some of us are so worried about them getting to the bus stop to get to school, and this amazing scholar went all the way across the world in order to gain knowledge. So it should really make us think about that, and really hasten and try and establish the Islamic personality of our children, not just send them off to do GCSEs. He had so much barakah in his time.
Absolutely.
And subhanallah, the more you do for the sake of Allah, the more barakah Allah puts in your time.
And you know, it's incredible. He actually went off, when he went off onto studies, you know, he used to travel to places, and he travelled to a place to study by Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal. And when he got there, he found out that the Imam had passed away. And he didn't let that deter him. You know, he was a bit disappointed, but he said, okay, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to study by someone else, inshallah. So, you know, even those things, sometimes when we hear disappointment or we kind of witness these things, it can completely make our lives fall apart. But he just, you know, he carried on because his intention was there, alhamdulillah. So jazakallah khair, lots of lessons to learn there from a truly inspirational person. Well, we've sadly come to the end of the show, but we are going to be back tomorrow, inshallah, with another packed episode where we'll be taking a look at truthfulness in the second part of our Purification of the Soul series, so don't miss it. Before we go, just another reminder about our competition this week. This week on Women's AM, we're holding an exciting competition. Up for grabs is this 22-carat gold-plated bronze ring made with Amazonite, lapis lazuli and amethyst stones from Sultanesque. To be in with a chance to win this handcrafted jewellery, all you have to do is answer the following question. Who was the first mu'adhin or caller of adhan in Islam? Was it A. Salman al-Farsi, B. Bilal, C. Abdullah ibn Abbas, or D. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhum? To enter, email your answer A, B, C or D to womensam@islamchannel.tv along with your name and address and what you most like about the show. The deadline for entries is Friday the 28th of February 2014 at 4 p.m. All applicants need to be over 18 and residing in the UK, and please note only one entry per person per household. A winner will be randomly selected from the correct entries, and the winner's name will be announced on Monday's show, so get entering. Last week's winner of the Khimar online abaya and hijab was Lamide Agunusi, so many congratulations, sister. Please do email us with your comments and suggestions to make the show the best it can be, and we'll be reading a few out at the end of the week, inshallah. Continue to love one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and keep the ummah and all of us in your da'as. Jazakallah khair to the sisters on the panel and our special guest today, Sister Ibtihal. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah.